Hey everybody, welcome back to Slavic Saturday, where we talk about Slavic history, mythology, and folklore. My name is Brendan Noble, author of the Frostmarked Chronicles, which is my fantasy series based on Slavic mythology. This week, we're returning to demons with a demon of the fields and noon, which shows up in popular culture, including even in the Witcher video games, and that is the Poludnitsa, the Lady Midday, or the Noonwraith. Before I dive too far into the Poludnitsa, though, I just want to remind you, if you are interested in that fantasy series, the Frostmarked Chronicles, and the first book in the series, A Dagger in the Winds, you can join my newsletter down below to be the first to receive updates about it. Newsletter subscribers also receive free ebook copies of all the side novellas that are based in the same world as the series, so be sure to join that down below. But now, let's dive into the Poludnitsa. So the Poludnitsa's name gives away what the type of demon that she is, because the name translates to around noon in many Slavic languages. And so that makes sense with the Lady Midday or Noonwraith translations that often occur in English. And so the Poludnitsa is a demon similar to the Polyvik that we've talked before, which is a more Russian demon among the East Slavs, while the Poludnitsa appeared in West Slavs, South Slavs, and East Slavs as well. But the Poludnitsa shows up in the fields around the noon time, which is the hottest part of the day, and so was considered the most dangerous part of the day for a worker working in the fields. And so the Poludnitsa shows up in this role of around this time when workers were supposed to rest because it was so hot out. If the Poludnitsa appeared while you were working, it was thought that you would get heat stroke, or they could strike you down with either her sickle or her scythe. So she appears as a pretty fearsome and dangerous demon, which is common across Slavic mythology for demons to be pretty dangerous. But she kind of forms a protector role similar to demons or spirits like the Leshy, the Domovik or Domovoi, or one like the Platnik or Zuhach, all of different areas of control. And that's because of kind of the origin story of a Poludnitsa. While the Poludnitsa doesn't have the clear origin as much that some demons like the Rusalka have, where the Rusalka being drowned in water, we do have some stories telling about how the Poludnitsa was made when a woman was killed in the field around the noontime. And this could be either by a violent act or dying from perhaps the heat stroke that could occur in the hot summer months. And this makes sense as well because demons typically were thought to be people who lived unnatural lives or died in a violent or unnatural way. And so the woman dies and then came back as a Poludnitsa and almost becomes a protector of the field, perhaps meant to be that other people don't suffer the same fate. Either she's protecting against bandits that could come during the midday, or was simply out there to prevent workers from coming during the midday and children from running out and getting lost in the fields or things such as this. That's the more practical aspect. In general, though, it was thought that you didn't go out during the midday because the Poludnitsa could kill you. And because of this, she kind of forms a different kind of duality that appears where she is this frightening creature that is meant to potentially attack workers that are out during the fields, but it's also meant to be a ward, like many folk tales are, against people doing things that were thought to be wrong. And the idea of working during the incredible heat you can get in the summer months without a break could give you heat stroke and things, so it's meant to ward against those kind of things. Poludnitsa's appearance also was pretty frightening considering her role as well. She would appear as that young woman, but her skin would be decaying or completely fallen off, so it could be skeletal or almost zombie-like. And then she would have that sickle or scythe that could kill you with. And she would tend to be wearing still the dress of the young maiden and also have long blonde hair. So she's this odd mix of things that were meant to represent a young woman, but also things that represent something that are very dead. And this kind of represents, again, this duality where she's the protector of making sure things don't happen to her the same way that they could to others. The Poludnitsa also appears often in modern art a little bit as a more beautiful creature, which doesn't represent as much the folklore. On the other side, in the Witcher series, the video games that I mentioned earlier, Geralt encounters multiple Noonwraiths, or at least one depending on how you play the games. And the Noonwraith in that is pictured as a very, very frightening creature, very much more of the skeletal, creepy side than the beautiful side that some people try to portray her as. And in my own series, the Frostmarked Chronicles, I haven't managed to find a way to get the Poludnitsa into the story yet. There's a lot of demons already in it, and not all of them can be included. There's a good chance she might show up later in the series. At the very least, she'll definitely appear in one of the novellas. The society I built in the story is very similar to the early Slavs based on agriculture, so the idea of a Poludnitsa appearing during the day and having an impact on this agricultural society would make sense. And that's all I have for you today on the Slavic Saturday series. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe down below. I come out with these videos every Saturday.